Welcome to another episode of Buddy Movies, the place where buddies talk about movies. I am your co-host, Anthony Watkins.
And I'm your co-host, Mark Young.
All right.
So, welcome to another episode.
This is episode 71. We're at 71 now.
Marching towards 75 and then right on to 100. We're going to get there. I'm excited. I mean, we don't have a full plan about what we're doing as far as movies, but we have a good enough plan. I'm excited about the Christmas part, honestly, because we're going to be doing stuff throughout Christmas this time, and I'm looking forward to doing Christmas movies and Christmas specials because I've always really enjoyed those films. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I can't believe it's November already.
Right. Just crossing November. Halloween's over. Now it's you're gonna see Christmas stuff everywhere, which I forget if we actually discussed this. I'm very much a start Christmas after Thanksgiving person, so I can't stand watching Christmas stores go up in all Christmas lights and stuff. I can't stand it.
I'm all for Christmas right away. I love Christmas being put up in September. Wow. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I was shocked to see I was going for Halloween candy to the store and Christmas stuff was already up. I went to the seasonal aisle to pick up Halloween candy for Halloween. It was 2 days before Halloween and the aisle was just full of Christmas candy already. And all the Halloween candy was in a different section, like getting cleared out. Hey, get out of here. So I was shocked by that, but hey, whatever. I love Christmas. I mean, I don't want to rush through the holidays though. Yeah. But I do love the decorations for Christmas. You know, I do love the decor and the feeling that Christmas brings on more than any other holiday. But I do think it's important because there's like this big tradition with Christmas, especially within the Christian faith, as far as like we start with Thanksgiving and that really kicks off our holiday season. Even All Saints Day, if you're Catholic, really starts off the holiday season there. You know, like we kind of ignore it, but it takes you through this whole process of November, you know, reflecting on what your faith is, being thankful, starting off the season being thankful, and then going through, you know, the 4 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas of just reflecting on, you know, the good things of life and your family and things like that. And I just really enjoy all the festivities that go along with that. So, I mean, I don't want to rush through it, but I enjoy going through it. And we're trying to keep Thanksgiving really small this year. In past years, we've gone to like her brothers, and it just ends up being tons of people, which is a lot of fun. But we're trying to make Thanksgiving like our holiday where it's like just our family, just the five of us, maybe a couple other people. And we're just, you know, focusing on more of a smaller element. So I'm really excited about Thanksgiving this year. My wife works on Thanksgiving this year, so we'll be doing a dinner instead of a like lunch. We used to do like 2:00, but we'll be doing 5:00 dinner probably. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going out to Laura's family out in Rolla, Missouri for Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I'm going out to Laura's parents for Thanksgiving. We're going to do Thanksgiving out there this year, and then Christmas at my parents. So we'll be leaving here in about 2 weeks for that, and we'll be out there for about a week and a half actually, because we're also going to Branson. Just some meeting some friends in Branson. So we'll go to Branson as well. That's where the other Sight and Sound Theater is, and I'll be seeing a show out there. So it'll be it'll be a good trip. We'll be driving out.
Is it a Sight and Sound show?
Yes, it's their Christmas show, Miracle Christmas. So it's like it's their 90s smaller scale show that they do every other year. So, but
are they not doing it up here this year?
No, because this year is a brand new show. It's David. Every time they do a brand new show, they run it through the entire year. Then every year they do a returning show, which is next year. Then they do it that year. So next year is Moses.
Okay, so they do the Christmas show kind of alternating every other year at the two places.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, and I can't announce this. We bought a Subaru Crosstrek. So it's a used vehicle, but we got that. So we're excited about that. It'll be much better, as a lot less miles than my Taurus had. My Taurus had 245,000 miles on it. So a lot of miles. This one has 92,000. So it should be good for a while. And yeah. But other than that, yeah, we're looking forward to spending time with her family and whatnot.
Yeah. Sounds good. Oh, you know what? I meant to make a correction. Weeks ago, on the very first episode that we recorded this season, I talked about one of your sisters talking to me at your wedding,
right?
And it was the wrong sister that I said.
Oh, you said it was Ellen.
I said, you said Ellen, and I was like, yeah, I think so, and it was Bethan.
Bethan, okay, yeah.
So I wanted to make that correction so that Bethan knows that. I know who she is. Yep, and we didn't mess that up completely. And then what else? Oh, and I just want to apologize to our listeners because I don't want to apologize for my kids being sick, but I want to apologize for the delays it's caused in the show because, like, literally I just got the episode for this week up last night, and that's 3 days late. And I mean, the kids literally just slept through the night for their first night last night. So it's just been crazy. They got RSV, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it's some crazy virus. Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either, but apparently it's fairly common this year and it's going around. And so they're going to have coughs for like 10 weeks, they said. So we got like 7 more weeks with these coughs. And, but they're past the worst of it. They're playing happily again and not getting huge doses of medicine every day.
That's good.
Their fevers are gone. So that's good. They're able to go to church last night and play with other kids and not contagious anymore. But yeah, it's just been crazy, like couple of weeks here where I was just struggling to have any time to edit because I was literally from Tuesday until Tuesday night. So like 7-8 nights in a row, I was literally sleeping on the couch, propping one, if not two of my kids up so that they were not laying down choking on their own like snot and stuff. So yeah, it was just crazy levels of sickness. And I was not getting much sleep.
I bet.
Hey, it's all good.
Better days ahead, hopefully. Yeah. And you said your daughter was in the ER at one point, right?
Yeah, we actually last Thursday went to the ER. We were going to record that night. And that's right. I said, not tonight. And we ended up not recording that week at all because we still had an episode in the bank. And
that was the same night I worked a 15-hour day. So it didn't work for me. I was actually the first one that called off. I was like, I can't. I'm going to be working I ended up working till 2 a.m. that day. So
yeah,
but none worked.
And then she threw up twice that night, and then was just having such trouble breathing and her like toes were starting to turn kind of bluish. So we called the ambulance, and they came and got her hooked up to some oxygen. And I rode to the hospital with her and was there for a few hours, and they said they were seeing a lot of kids with this RSV thing. And that's when she got the official diagnosis, because we were just treating it as like a kind of a flu cold thing. Right. We have home tests for COVID, and we'd done tests for that, but they were negative. So, and the hospital, it was negative for COVID as well. So yeah, it's just this RSV, which is another virus. But yeah, so we're through the rough part of it and moving on to better days.
Nice.
Sorry, my son pulled out the office balloons that I did for your bachelor party. Like I have a huge bag of them. So my son has been playing with a bunch of them. So I have a pile of them on my desk here.
That's awesome. Money well spent. Oh, that was fun. Walking in there and seeing all those balloons. That was a great weekend.
I walked our youth pastor at our church as a sign on his door from The Office. So I knew he was a fan. So I hadn't really gotten a chance to talk to him yet. But the other day I walked into church and I just handed him one of the balloons. And he goes, oh my gosh. He was like, where did you get this? Because it said Dunder Mifflin on it or something. He's like, I am a fan. It is bad. It is way, way bad. It is too much. I watch it too much.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet, somebody else.
Yeah. It's just a great comfort show. And,
Yep, but it is. So where do we want to start with articles? We have 3 this week.
Yeah. Let's do I have the Dusty Baker one listed first. We can do that one first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This was an interesting one that I thought, because we just talked about baseball and Moneyball.
Right.
And the World Series is going on right now. I forget where they're at. Last I checked, games. Each team had won 1.
Yeah, now each team has won 2 now.
Okay.
And they're playing, so they're tied 2-2. They're playing one more game tonight in Philly. Then they're going back to Houston for at least one more game, maybe 2 if it goes all 7 games. But the Astros no hit the Phillies last night. That was the only second time ever since like 1956 was the last time the no hitter. It was a combined no hitter, but still no hitter. Only the second time since first time since 1956 that has ever happened. So it was the Phillies had scored 7. They won 7-0 the previous night. So it's a good series.
Yeah. So the article I have is from USA Today, and it says, with no black players in World Series, Astros manager Dusty Baker is ashamed of the game. So I'll just read the first couple things here, because I just find it interesting that there's no black players, and the manager, I thought it was the coach at first, but it's not. It's one of the managers who's complaining about it. And to me, it's like he has, from what we just learned from Moneyball, he has some culpability in this. But we'll see. So anyways, let me just read a little bit here. It says, Houston, Dusty Baker hears it all, tilts his head back and sighs in disbelief. Come on, do people actually believe that he needs to win a World Series to get into the Hall of Fame? Really? The man has led a record 5 teams to 12 postseason berths, 3 World Series appearances, and has won more games than all but 8 managers in history. The Houston Astros do not need to win the World Series title over the Philadelphia Phillies for him to be inducted into Cooperstown. But that's not the main part of the story.
If you
he plans to manage them for another year. He has bigger, better things on his mind. He'd be the third black manager to win the World Series. But let me see.
Yeah, scroll right below his picture.
I was right below his picture. Okay.
Yep.
This is the first World Series since 1950. There will not be a single U.S.-born black player on the field. So that to me seems very specific when it says U.S.-born black player.
Yes. U.S.-born black player, and the fact that it kind of misleads you into thinking, okay, everyone on the field is white-born American. That's not the case.
That's what it does. Because I looked up the roster, and like none of the names even sounded like they were white guys.
You've got Dominican players, you've got Venezuelan players. You have players from several different countries. They are not all. It leads you to believe these are just all white-born Americans, all white guys playing. That's not the case. Far from it, actually.
He says, "Nah, don't tell me that. That's terrible state of the game. Wow, terrible. I'm ashamed of the game. Quote me, I am ashamed of the game." Baker was publicly asked about it a day later in a press conference Thursday and was diplomatic, but was still perturbed. And it's just one of those things, and we've talked about this before, where I just feel like, and granted, I recognize that I am a white guy talking about this.
Yes.
We're both white guys, and it's the fact that I just feel like it's they're making it sound as if, like you said, the game is dominated by white guys this time, or that it's like as if baseball isn't a meritocracy. You know what I mean? It's not like the best players on their teams got the spots, they put together the best team they could do. And then the teams who could play the best and got the highest scores or won the most games won.
Right.
It's not like someone conspired to get rid of all the black players.
No,
I don't know why we're making this a thing. I don't know why he's talking about it. I mean, he's a black man, and I can understand it being disappointing that, hey, the team you're leading to the World Series doesn't have anybody exactly like you on it. But still, you're leading. You're making history yourself here.
Yeah. And he's been on, he's managed, for I think 20 years. He's managed many, many teams that have had black players on, and this just happens to be the one team, he's managed that does not currently have any actually U.S. born black players here on it.
And that's the key thing: U.S. born black players, U.S. born, so not African American, but they're. I would assume some of the Dominican guys might perhaps be black Dominican.
Yeah,
maybe not. I couldn't get any pictures of the team. All I got were a list of names, and you can't really tell much from that.
Yeah, and like I said, Jose Altuve, the second baseman for the Astros, he's Dominican, I believe. Is it Dominican or Venezuelan? He's Dominican, I believe. And then Gene Segura, he's Venezuelan. So it's like I said, it's all a nerd. It's all very frustrating to me. Just to see this keep getting pointed out as if this is like you said, a big conspiracy. It's not at all.
Yeah, I can't even. I kind of want to see if I can find a picture of the team.
Segura is Dominican. Altuve is Venezuelan. So I don't have their entire roster out, but they are.
Their left fielder. Their left fielder is a black man.
But is a U.S.
Alvarez? No, he's probably not U.S. born.
So why does he have to be specifically U.S. born?
Yeah, I don't get it.
He's black.
One of their catchers, Martin Maldonado, is maybe not black, but very dark skinned. I'm just disappointed that we have to make it seem like Hector Neris,
Alvarez is
Rafael Montero, these guys, it's not that none of them. It's not that they don't have black players on their team. They're from this guy's from the Dominican Republic. This guy is. Let me see.
If you want to call out racism, I feel like trying to just pick players based on their skin color to get into the game, that's kind of racist right there. Like you said, this should be based on their athletic ability. That's kind of the whole point, is it not? This is Major League Baseball.
And just look at this team. These guys are not. I'm gonna have to keep these pictures for showing on the video, but yeah, it's not like they're a bunch of white guys. These guys are
no, far from it.
Dark-skinned black men who are just happen to not be U.S. born, and he's making this big to-do about it as if they have whitewashed the sport. And I just feel like that's just an unfair assessment. And that's why I wanted to bring this topic up, because you know baseball better than I do.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if that's what was happening, if it actually.
No, not at all. Baseball, of all the sports, baseball is probably probably the most white of the sports, even though there's a lot of non-white players in it. I don't know the exact percentage, but there are more and more non-white players in baseball. Basketball, NBA, as you know, is mostly black. I don't know again the percentage, but you're hard pressed to find white NBA players.
it kind
of
no
one complains about that.
No one complains. No, not one bit.
Hockey might be a little bit more white than.
Yes, hockey. I think I don't watch baseball. A lot of hockey, but yeah, hockey is definitely more white. But and football, honestly, football's this football started out pretty white, but recent years, over the past decade or 2 decades, it's mostly, honestly,
I feel like it's 50-50, if not mostly black. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just another thing blown out of proportion that's not even accurate, and it's just.
And that's what I feel like keeps happening with the news. I just feel like there's actually that's another story I was thinking. It's more political, which is why I didn't do it. But they were talking about how it was talking about the GOP's reaction to the attack on Paul Pelosi.
Yes,
because if you heard last Friday, he was attacked in his home, and they were making it sound as if all the none of them were saying anything about it, except they were. Like the day he was attacked, there were tons of them going, "Oh my gosh, our hearts go out to Nancy Pelosi. I hope everything's okay. Hope he makes a speedy recovery. I'm glad we caught the guy. Like Mitch McConnell, all the major people were saying this. They all put out statements like that, and then the whole situation gets politicized so that people say things back and forth and things get shot back and forth. And I just feel like I feel like that's what keeps happening in a lot of news stories I feel like they're trying to divide us from each other and make it seem like we're all against each other when in reality we have more in common than we want to admit,
Because the media,
and I just wish
they love to sensationalize. They love to get a story. If they're not getting a story, they're not doing their job. I just
wish we could all be a little bit more critical and stop and go, okay, this story is saying this, but is this even true? And look into it. So, that attack on Paul Pelosi, horrific, scary, terrible, terrible stuff, should not happen. No one should have to be attacked, let alone someone for their political beliefs. And we wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Because that should go without saying.
Right.
But yeah. So if we're done with that topic, shall we move on to James Cameron?
Yes. Speaking of which, new Avatar trailer dropped this week. Who's
I know. We had a lot to say about that. I wish we had recorded it.
Right? We argued for about almost a whole afternoon, it felt like, after that. I texted Mark the trailer, and just like this movie.
I got on, because I have a second phone that I do a lot of pictures with.
Okay.
And games and apps. So it still is connected to my messenger. So I went to that and it said 47 unread messages. And it was just you and me, our exchange back and forth.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy crap, 47 messages just talking about this. And I was going back to find these articles for the show. And I had to scroll through all of that tonight to find these articles because we had sent them to each other before that. So it was like, oh my gosh, we talked forever arguing about Avatar. But this is your article. So do you have it up there?
Yeah, I have it. So it's titled "James Cameron Criticizes Marvel and DC Characters." Quote, "They all act like they're in college and don't have relationships." Let me skip through some of the beginning here. He says, "When I look at these big, spectacular films, I'm looking at you, Marvel and DC. It doesn't matter how old the characters are. They all act like they're in college. They have relationships, but they really don't. They never hang up their spurs because of their kids. The things that really ground us and give us power, love, and purpose, those characters don't experience it. And I think that's not the way to make movies."
Which, if that was true, I would agree with him.
Yeah.
The problem is, that's not true. It's not that's the whole thing about Superman, for example, the whole thing about that man is his relationships, because you have a literal godlike invincible figure. Nothing can kill or hurt this man. He the thing that is a threat are the people he loves. Mm-hmm. So you have his family, his wife, his mother, or girlfriend, Lois Lane, whatever she is at the time. You have her getting threatened. You have his mother getting threatened. Those are the things that make him vulnerable, is the people he loves. So clearly, he deals with the ramifications of that. Second of all, you have Marvel, which, okay, so yeah, they're adding more on the kids section into it now, but their relationships are a huge part of what causes characters, their development, and for them to make the choices that they make and the good and bad choices that they make. So like even Hawkeye, for example, has a complete family, a wife, and I think it was like 3 or 4 kids. Mm-hmm. And he's like the core of the team. He is like the thing that holds that team together, essentially. So it's like this weird thing about, like, it just shows James Cameron's ignorance that he hasn't seen these films really. He just wants to say, oh, my film's better. We're dealing with relationships and the real consequences, and how do you struggle and make these sacrifices.
Yeah, and he probably sees Marvel as a lot of like using the cookie cutter method, something we talked about before, and just not being, real movies. And he may have seen, the Spider-Man, No Way Home or Far From Home and Homecoming, mm-hmm. Those movies that are more geared to the college era, Spider-Man, and seeing that and being like, okay, these are just kids movies type of thing. And so mm-hmm. to a certain extent, I see his point, but I definitely don't think he has seen all Marvel movies, because I feel like these days it's hard to have seen every single Marvel movie. Well, I guess more shows than movies. Movies, I've seen pretty much every Marvel movie, but
there's only one I haven't seen right now.
There's a lot, and they're constantly going. They're coming out every single year, multiple times a year, and then shows are coming out every year. Yeah, and the shows are coming out what seems like constantly, and so So I'm sure he thinks that this is the cinema stage is flooded with these, and he's ready to bring something different to the table. But yeah, I think he's a little off on that. There's more to it than I think he realizes. I don't think he has seen a fair share of Marvel movies, and I'm someone who's one of the biggest James Cameron fans around. So as you know, but
yes. There's also another line that he says in this article here where it says, where he's talking about they say another way not to make movies is to make underwater scenes. Cameron shot a majority of Avatar: The Way of Water in large water tanks, and his cast had to train to hold their breaths for minutes on end. So Cameron could film longer takes underwater. Yeah. When asked what's gained from shooting in actual water, as opposed to the more CGI approach taken in films like Aquaman and Little Mermaid, Cameron answered, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe that it looks good."
I loved that response. Bam.
I mean, yes, but also no. And this is where you and I disagree. Like, I don't think it looks that much better that it was worth the amount of work and extra money to make it. That's my thing, is I don't feel like it's that, like, I don't think the return on investment is there for it. That's my argument.
This is what I love about Cameron, though, is that he's a pioneer. He pioneered the 3D visual effects for Avatar. And then with this underwater performance capture, he pioneered a whole another technology for this movie. So he's doing things different. He's not just, okay, I need underwater scenes. Okay, let's bring in, let's do this CGI the way it's always been done. And we'll just go with that. It's cheaper. It's easier to do. Well, it's more time efficient. We'll just do it that way. He's trying to do something new. And I really appreciate that, because...
Yeah, I can appreciate trying to do something new. But my thing is, what's he actually pioneering? He pioneered the 3D thing, and how many other movies have used that?
Well, post Avatar, they made it years following Avatar. A bunch did, but then, as you know, 3D kind of faded away, like the late 2000. I want to say 2013, 2014. You started seeing them fade away.
So he kind of pioneered a change that didn't stick.
Well, it didn't stick to directors that want to go to the extent that he did. So I think the thing is, he did it to such a craftsmanship level, and this is something that anyone who I've read lots of actors' stories about working on set with him. He's such a perfectionist that other directors that probably attempt to do it the way he does don't do it to the level the level of determination and to his extent. And so I think that's part of the issue, that you saw films try to do 3D, but if you and again, this is someone I didn't actually see the first Avatar in theaters, but I heard the 3D for it was incredible. And films after that, they tried to use his technology, but they didn't do it to the same level of craftsmanship that he put in to Avatar, and so it didn't look as good. And so I think that it's just part of the issue. But
can you think of another? Because I can't think of another film that trying to even use the 3D, and that's my thing. Is like I just feel like it's not. That's my whole argument with this whole Avatar pioneering. Like, is it going to be that big of a deal? I feel like it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's something new. Like, I don't feel like it's that impressive. Like, I mean, it is impressive, but to what end? Like, to be basically, to me, it seems like it's all done just for his hubris and bragging rights. It's all for him to be like, yeah, I'm the best. Yeah. I made this thing. I'm ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And that's not really like, okay, that's cool, but your story sucks. And that's my thing about Avatar is I honestly believe the story is just such a rehash. It's not memorable. It's not original, that it's like, I don't care that you gave me some cool graphics. I don't care about your characters. I don't care about the story you've created.
Yeah. See that? Yeah, that's kind of where we differ. So I don't think it's completely forgettable. Yes, the writing is not, it's not Citizen Kane. It's not, Casablanca or Gone with the Wind, but it's at the same time, I think it is blown out of proportion that people say it's god awful, is terrible. It's not terrible. It's just not, the writing isn't up to par with the incredible visual effects. And that's to be honest, that's a kind of a tough order because of how good the visual effects are in it.
I mean, but the thing is, it's not even talking about the writing. It's just talking about the quality of the story. Because he did Titanic. That's a memorable story. He did Terminator 2. It's a memorable story.
Right.
You look back and you think about those things, but all the best story elements of Avatar are literally stolen from other movies. It's literally a white savior Native American story that we've seen in lots of other movies. It's that simple.
But it just, I don't know. I still like it. And with these movies, like I said, there's going to be four sequels. I don't know if I see all of them doing.
I think there's going to be one more sequel. I think they will get 3 and that's it, because they're filming 3 almost in tandem with 2. Yeah. I don't think it's going to go beyond 3.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I guess we'll find out. We'll see how well the first one should do very well. The one after that, I don't know as much, but. I'm excited. I saw that. I don't know. I saw that trailer and I was so excited. Oh, I watched it probably 3 or 4 times. My only bummer was like YouTube trailers usually come out in 4K. Why wasn't this trailer in 4K? It was in 1080p. But that's just a little nitpick. But whatever. Either way, I'm seeing that baby in IMAX 3D. I am. I'll spend the $20 a ticket. My
thing is, if you're going to go see that, you have to see it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because that's how it's I don't want to watch this
on my 55-inch screen TV. Are you kidding me? No way.
I still argue. I will still argue that that's how most people are comfortable watching movies now. That people are okay seeing their action movies, seeing a Marvel or DC or whatever other movie at home on their 70-inch TV, because they have that. Like, the home theater experience is affordable for regular people now. So I just think that most people are okay with okay, I'll do this. I'll save myself the money. I'll just do this at home and watch a movie there.
Yeah.
I don't think the average person cares about the cinema experience as much anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't. I used to love the theater, but I don't care about it anymore either.
I still love it. Laura will tell you if she's listening. She'll tell you how excited I get when I walk into a movie theater. I just kind of turn into a different person. I just get so giddy and excited. I just get my popcorn, get my Coke and sit down and just, I don't know. There's just something about it. It feels like I'm in a different place. I can forget all my troubles in the world for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And, just turn, I was going to say turn my brain off, not really turn my brain off, but like just forget all my other troubles and just sit and relax, free of distractions. I usually, my phone's obviously on silent. So like, yeah, it's one of those few places where I feel like I can get away, for like 2 hours. There's not a whole lot of places I can do that. So, but yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to the, our last article was about Jennifer Lawrence. This is one that I picked out here. So this is from the playlist.net. Jennifer Lawrence says Adele warned her not to do the 2016 film Passengers. Now, have you seen Passengers?
No, I have not.
Yes, I have only seen parts of it myself. This probably would have been more helpful if each of us had seen the movie. But anyway, Adele,
I know the whole story, but
yeah, it stars Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. It's a space action movie, a sci-fi movie, and apparently Lawrence's good friend, singer Adele, warned her not to do that movie before she signed on. Lawrence states, Adele told me not to do it. She was like, I feel like space movies are the new vampire movies. I should have listened to her. And it goes on to say, critics despise Passengers and many consider it a career worst film for Lawrence. And Lawrence post Hunger Games, I think she was in American Hustle, but like she kind of that was during the whole Hunger Games, but she kind of fell off the map post Hunger Games. They say that this was a career worst for her. This was not a great movie. I think it has what's the article say? It got 30% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 63% audience score. So some fans liked it more than the critics, but overall people say it was not a great movie. But to Adele's comment, I thoroughly disagree. I can maybe see a smidgen of her point that there are some bad, there's definitely bad space movies out there, but you can say about literally any genre. There's always going to be movies that are bad in a certain genre. But to liken them to vampire movies, which are by and large, I mean, we don't have to go back and talk about Twilight doing them now, do we? Don't get me started on that rant. I'll go off for an hour straight on that.
Well, no, back in 2016, I think is when that movie came out.
Yes,
is that right? So. I think she was right, and here's why. Because like movies go in waves. You'll get a whole bunch of. At least they used to. Now it's a little like even just a few years later, it's a little different, but. You had a whole bunch of vampire movies, and then you had like a popular thing being superheroes for a while. Everyone was trying to get to the superhero franchise thing. They even tried it with the Mummy and the monsters and stuff like that. Tom Cruise, that stuff. And then, right around 2016-ish area, space movies had gotten that popular again. Whereas like they were the trendy thing that everyone was trying to come up with a different space movie. You had Gravity, you had Interstellar.
They came out back-to-back years.
What else was that? There's another one that we saw with Matt Damon.
The Martian.
The Martian. So it was a very popular thing for a couple of years there, and Passengers would fall right into that whole era where and these things last for only a couple of years. The burst of like, oh wow, this is the thing everyone wants to see, a space movie. Everyone wants to see this, and I would say, that was pretty insightful of Adele to notice that it was a trend that was popular for just a hot second.
Do you consider Star Wars space movies? Do you consider Star Wars space movies, or is that like a whole Star Wars is its own category?
Star Wars is such a high level that it's like its own thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Like maybe not high level I mean, like high level popularity. You know, it's its own world unto itself. You have people dressing up as these characters and going to conventions, pretending to be them, type thing. Same thing with Star Trek. Yeah. Same thing with Star Trek. You know, so those movies are set in space, but they're not really like what this was, where
these are more
everyone's trying to find their own niche. Original, like, oh, here's a different way of doing this, you know? So fantasy, early 2000s, that's what Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. We got some great movies out of the fantasy push in the early 2000 era. It was very nice to see, but yeah, so I would say, I would agree with Adele that it was, and the fact that it was a niche push of a new genre that was popular for a hot second, that space movies were that for a little bit, but I wouldn't say that it was, I wouldn't consider it as bad as Twilight. We got Interstellar out of that. We got Gravity out of that. We got Martian. Some really high quality, good, like Martian was another good one. Yeah. This one obviously fell by the wayside, was not as good by most accounts. I haven't seen it myself. I keep meaning to see it. It's on this list of ever growing, never ending list of movies that I want to see.
Yeah. When it came out, I was passively interested when I saw it come out in theaters, but I wasn't like, oh I have to see this movie. So I just never, you know, if someone would have invited me to it and saw it, I would have probably seen it, but I wasn't going to go out of my way, you know?
Well, this is the type of movie I kind of like, but excuse me again. Because it was a limited cast. It was very small, you know what I mean? So you have just Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence and was it Michael? I forget the name. There was a guy who does like the bartender, and he's been in a lot of things, but he was actually Twilight too.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, so it was just a very limited cast, and those are always interesting things. You know, Tom Hanks did it with Castaway. So if you can keep someone entertained with such a small group of people, hey, I'm all for an attempt on that. But it sounds like they didn't pull it off.
Yeah. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So there's our 3 articles. Got an extra one in there tonight. Bonus for you guys. For you listening.
Oh, yeah. I'm liking it. Actually, our podcasts are getting a little longer right now, but it's giving us a little bit more video content. So I'm enjoying both sides of it. Moving on to the film.
There has been a murder in Savannah. That's what I think every time I watch this movie. Because, you know, Daniel Craig's southern drawl.
He's got that whole... Yes, the whole southern drawl thing.
But I love it. I can't get enough of his character.
When he started speaking, I was like, who is this guy? What is... Oh my gosh, it's Daniel Craig.
That's Daniel.
So they recently announced that they're coming out with a sequel to this movie.
Yes, Netflix bought the rights.
When they announced the sequel, they were like, oh, Daniel Craig will be returning for the sequel. And I was like, wait, why is Daniel Craig returning for the sequel? I thought it was, I don't know anything about this film, but why would he be the only one returning? And now that I've actually seen the film, because I hadn't seen it until this week, I understand. Because I went into this not knowing what I was getting into, only knowing that it was by Rian Johnson, who is, in my opinion, a destroyer of Star Wars.
Yeah, he's a very controversial director because he directed, you know, if you take on a Star Wars movie, you better be ready for backlash if you don't do it the way, you know, way fans like it. And his career.
At this point, you better be ready for backlash, whether you gave them everything they wanted or not. Because I saw his Star Wars movie and I walked out so happy.
Yeah.
Like, I was so freaking happy with that movie. I called my brother right away, and he and I were like loving this film. And then I called my cousin, and she was like, it was terrible. I was like, what? What are you talking about? This movie gave me everything I wanted. So I personally did like The Last Jedi, although He is. I don't know. I do think he did go against a lot of the stuff with the character. I do think he has a terrible characterization of Luke Skywalker in that movie. But still, I think I enjoyed what I got out of it. But I think that's because I was more disappointed with the one before it, which was
Force
Awakens.
Was it?
Okay. Yeah, it was Force Awakens. I saw that movie. I thought that was terrible, and everyone else loved it. And so I was crushed by that. So I went into this movie, into Last Jedi, with less expectations. So when he did what he did in there, I wasn't as like disappointed with the bad choices because I wasn't expecting anything. So I had low expectations, which allowed me to enjoy the movie more.
Makes sense.
But let's get back on topic to Knives Out.
Yeah.
You want to introduce this movie for us?
Yeah. This was released November 27, 2019, written and directed by Rian Johnson. Is it Ryan or Rian? I've heard it said Ryan, so I'm going to go with Ryan, I think. Rian Johnson, nominated for 1 Oscar, Best Original Screenplay. Parasite ended up winning that year, but it was nominated. And it grossed $311.6 million on a $40 million budget. So not a high budget movie. Good. And it did very well.
Especially for the cast, that is a very low budget for this cast.
That's what I thought. This is one of the best casts I have seen in a very long time in a movie. You've got Christopher Plummer, you got Jamie Lee Curtis, you got Michael Shannon, you've got I had them all written down here. Daniel Craig, which we talked about, Toni Collette, Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, the list goes on and on. You got
Lakeith Stanfield was amazing in what was it that he was in? I think he played Snoop Dogg in the one Welcome to Compton or something like that, or Straight Outta Compton.
Gotcha.
And he was good in that. He's been in a lot of. Let me click on his profile. I liked him in pretty much everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has an all-star cast, in my opinion.
Really does.
Ana de Armas, who is the star of this movie, essentially. Right. She was a nobody pretty much at this this point, correct?
Before this, the only thing I saw, she was in Blade Runner 2049 as the AI, I forget her character name. But she was in Blade Runner 2049. But beyond that, that was a box office flop. So not many people saw that movie. But beyond that, she was pretty much a nobody. And this put her on the map, and she's becoming one of the young rising stars right now in Hollywood. Like she just now played the controversial role of Marilyn Monroe in Blonde, and she's been in some other movies as well. She's tremendous in this movie. She has this innocence about her, and she's set against these very, this cast we were talking about, these rich, privileged white folks that's what they are. This movie has a lot of social and political commentary, but it does it in a very good and well written way. It's a very witty movie in a lot of ways, just from both just how the narrative flows, but also just how it talks about society right now and the world we're living in and the political ties and all of that. It just interweaves it very, very well, all inside a whodunit mystery. And it's just it's from start to finish, you're latched on to these characters, partly because of this tremendous cast, but also just the great writing here.
Yeah, because I really went into this not knowing what to expect at all. I actually thought it was going to be more of a what was that movie? Come a bunch of years ago, but like a bunch of assassins fighting each other. Just the name Knives Out. I didn't realize, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what it meant. And I just thought it was basically going to be a bunch of different people trying to kill each other. And that's not what it was at all. No, it was a whodunit mystery. It was so bright and colorful.
Right.
And yeah, like you said, it was witty. It was literally, I got done with this movie and I was like, wow, this is something my wife might actually enjoy. I need to get her to see this.
Yeah.
So I might end up having to buy it because she wasn't able to see it in the time that I had it rented. But it's worth it in my opinion.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was interesting because I was looking when I was wanting to watch this. I have it on digital, but I wanted to watch it on my Blu-ray, and I couldn't find my Blu-ray. And I was looking everywhere for it. I accused Laura of loaning it out to somebody, which she didn't. Sorry about that, Laura. And it was not on my movie shelf. And I'm like, where is this? And then she found it. I forgot I put it on I have a little movie shelf in my living room. It's called the Essentials movie list. And I put it there. I have it there on my essentials, as far as movies I really, really love, think you should watch. And it was on there. And I'm just like, oh, that's where it is. So I have it. I bought it when it came out. I was like, this is a great movie. I'm glad I still have it. But yeah. I mean, even just like sorry, go ahead.
No, one of the things I loved is it kept you guessing too, because they kind of show their hand halfway through the movie where it just tells you exactly what happened. And you're like, why did they just ruin this story here? They just ruined it. What is going on? But then it was kind of funny watching them, like the person who did it kind of like stumbling around, trying to cover up the fact that they committed the murder. And then where the story goes from there, finding out that, wait, maybe more than one person killed the guy at the same time. Like, wait, it just the path it takes was so good. It was just, it kept you guessing right up until the end. And I really enjoyed this because I don't, like, we've talked about this before. I don't get surprised by movies often. And like the movies we've been watching lately, I have been getting surprised by. I've been enjoying our list this year. It's been really good.
That was my curiosity. I was like, did you end up guessing who it was? I was curious. And so you didn't. Who did you think it was?
Well, it's hard because it kept changing. So you're like, oh yeah, okay. So I guess who it was. Because I did kind of like, okay, she's probably the one who did it. And then it's like, yes, but no. I mean, because it kind of like, I don't want to give it away, really. I mean, as much as we do spoiler zones here, this is a newer movie. So I don't know if I really want to make it a spoiler zone this time.
Okay.
But so they twist and turn so much that you can't actually be sure if the person who did it is the one who actually did it. Yeah. And I did like that. So, and the fact that they did reveal it early on made me go, okay, wait, something's up here. They maybe not.
Yeah. And it's also just one of those movies that you can, once you've finished watching it, you can watch it again and pick up things that you missed the first time. Be like, oh, okay, there's a hint. And it's just, I love those types of movies.
I really wish I would have gotten the chance to go back and watch it again, but I did not have that time with the kids and everything being up. And
understandable.
Yeah, but it was just, it was good.
But and like I said, like I just love the characterization, especially of Marta, Anna de Armas's character. The fact that they mowed in little. Rian Johnson he weaves in little details, like the fact that they can't remember. They claim to adore her and they love her. She's one of us. She's part of the family, and they don't even know what country she's from. One person says she's from Paraguay.
Yes, exactly. Every single person says a different country.
Right. So like they clearly don't actually care about her. They don't think she's one of them. And
they all say they were outvoted. Every single one of them was like, I wanted you there, but I was outvoted.
Yeah. They're all just, it's just great. It's just a great way to just do characterization, to just reveal it through dialogue like that,
Even the fact that they held a vote about who's allowed to this man's funeral, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can see if she was like accused of being, like, if there was even a suspicion of it being foul play.
Yeah.
Because it starts off as a suicide. Like, that's how the whole thing, everyone believes it's a suicide for right up until about a third of the way into the movie. Yeah. So it's like, now, wait a minute. So they didn't even think anybody was the murderer. If they had thought she was a murderer and said, hey, no, you can't come because they thought she was a murderer, then fine, But give me a break. Like, you voted on whether or not someone can come. Yeah, it literally shows, like, just how insane these people all were. And they were all of them. Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that they were all getting cut off
Yeah.
Like they all had a motive to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Like an actual motive.
Right.
And it was interesting.
I even really loved like the beginning, the opening scene with like this that has this crazy like suspenseful music, and you have a death obviously starting. Like that's a great way to start the movie. You have a death right at the very beginning, the opening scene. It's a great setup, and then like whenever Blanc is interviewing the people, I love how or interviewing the family. I love how it cuts back and forth between one person is Blanc is answering or asking a question, and then he's talking to someone else. It cuts back and forth between different family members. It's just really sleek editing. And, and this is all exposition. Every movie has to have this, the dreaded exposition. Every movie has to have it. But in this, when it's done like this, it doesn't feel like exposition. It doesn't feel like, we're getting all the background.
Well, yeah, because there's also their point of views too. So like he's cutting it between their point of view. So they'll show you the same scene multiple times, but from different points of views, and the characters act different based on how those characters perceive the other characters in the scene. So if they think like, oh, this person is this terrible person, they always act like this, then that person's acting like that in their memory, but that's not how the character actually acts. It was really good. Yeah. Like you said, with the editing and the way they cut it between those scenes, it was so creative, just original. I think.
I always like to have pros and cons. I was trying to think of cons to this movie, and I'm having a hard time picking out any things I really did not like about this movie.
I'd probably have to watch it another time or two to say if there was anything that I felt that was bad about it. I mean, it's got a high score here.
It really does.
I mean, it's 7.9 on IMDb's rating. So.
It was one of the best movies of 2019. I remember that it capped off the year. It was just, I think I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters.
Really?
I did. Oh yeah. Yeah. Even though this isn't a high budget a special effects laden movie, I still saw it. It may have been twice, but I loved this movie, and obviously I bought it, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. My only negative thing about the sequel is like, I love this cast so much, and the fact that they're not in the sequel bums me out. However, and the fact that Netflix bought the rights to it, I just don't like Netflix, but there's that. I don't trust them with movies, but Rian Johnson's still returning to write and direct it. And second one, it's called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, and it's coming out December 23 this year. So it's coming up, and it has it currently has a 91% Rotten Tomatoes out of 78 reviews. So it's getting, once again, great reviews. And
this is a 97 by the Tomato Meter and audience score of 92.
Wow. On Rotten Tomatoes, get much better than that.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, this just really showed off Rian Johnson's his writing chops and his directing ability. Like, yes, the whole Star Wars thing, but he's made some really solid movies. Even like Looper back in 2014 I like that one. He's a solid, I would even say underrated director. I really like this movie. This is a very creative, original. It's got the social commentary to it. It's not just just a story. That's it. It has actual, depth to it. Great cast, like we mentioned. Witty dialogue throughout the whole thing, really, and one that keeps there's nothing worse about a mystery if it doesn't keep you guessing. This one very much, you just don't know. I mean,
wow, he did episodes of the Breaking Bad.
Did he?
He directed 3 episodes. He directed one of the considered worst episodes, Fly, which is the one which is actually a pretty good episode.
I thought that's regarded as one of the best episodes. If Julie's listening, whenever I got to that episode, she was kind of guiding me through the series. She's like, did you get to the Fly episode? It's one of the best episodes in the entire series. So that's interesting. I thought people loved that episode.
Okay, I thought people thought it was. I could be wrong. It is a great episode because it shows you like the relationship between Jesse and Walt in like great detail. But it is one of the lowest rated episodes of Breaking Bad.
Okay.
At least by fans. Yeah.
It is
because it is kind of, it's kind of slow and it doesn't really, it seems like a filler episode.
Yeah.
It's the first episode of them. Yeah. It doesn't progress the story. So it's the first episode at that point that feels like a filler episode which you haven't had in Breaking Bad. Like everything has just been like pushing the story forward. But yeah. And he also did 51 and Ozymandias. So it's Walt's 51st birthday and he returns. Yeah. So it's like the last seasons. Last season he did 2 episodes. Yeah. So like the second to last episode was Ozymandias, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or third to last. It's the one where he tells Walt Jr. the truth, I think. And yeah. It's technically the second to last because the finale is like 2 episodes, really. Well, maybe not. Anyways.
But yeah,
it's the episode right before he runs away, basically.
Okay. But yeah, one other thing about Knives Out, I think we even mentioned, it's also just it's funny in a lot of parts. Like it's dealing with like a murder. Like it's got some, especially from Chris Evans' character, some of the lines he delivers. You know, the whole when they're whole arguing, he says, "Eat." You know, I'm not gonna say it, but eat definitely. You know, it's just like it's got some great moments, comedic moments in it too. The old Nana. They don't know how old she is.
Oh my gosh.
How old she is.
Yes.
You know, I didn't. Yeah.
Well, he's 85. Think about this. He's
85. She has to be.
She has to be 100.
At least. You know.
At least.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of great moments in it. Just.
I love the arguing between the where they got the political topic.
Oh yes,
there's this one scene where they get like political, and you can just see which sides everyone's on, and it just is because we all know we've had these moments.
Oh yes,
where we're with our family, and like people decide to get political and argue, and it's like, dude, why? Why at this moment are you doing that?
I mean, that scene, and they talk about I forget his character name. He's Christopher Plummer's. He's Harlan's son-in-law, and he's like, "There's
Drysdale, Richard.
You want to come into the U.S.? There's a right way to do it, you know." And it's just, it's.
And he's talking to her, and her mother's an illegal immigrant at this point, so it's just like this whole. Oh my gosh.
And the fact that he says you come in, you work hard, you earn your way, and you're rewarded. And it's funny because one of the things I had in here, you know, this whole family, they all say, "Oh, we've earned our share." You know, they haven't. They've been sucking off the, they've been leeching off of the profits of their, Harlan,
their dad.
Yes, they've been leeching off him their entire lives. They've none of them have earned actually anything from this. They say they do, but they really haven't. So that's just another thing that I
think Linda, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Linda has.
Okay,
she has her own thing set up.
Does she? Okay, I forget what hers was.
Yeah, because she's not even like bribed, or she's not really cut off because she doesn't need to be cut off. She, Don Johnson, Richard, her husband, he's being accused. He's been having an affair, so that's his thing. Couple of things, and then Walt, which is by Michael Shannon, he's been working at the father's shop, publishing just his father's books. You know, so he's been doing nothing really. And then Joni, who is the daughter-in-law who used to be married to the other son, who's dead. Like, so she's been double dipping.
Right.
Like he's been sending them. He's been sending them money for her daughter's college tuition, but he's been sending it to 2 places, so directly to the college and to her. So she could pay the college, and she's kept both money, but all the money. So she's kept, I think they said something like $400,000 or something like that he's stolen from her.
I think it was 40,000, I think.
Or was it $100,000?
It may have been $100,000. I forget.
I knew there was an amount, but it was like some crazy amount of money that she's been stealing for over 4 years now. Yeah. So this whole family, none of them have earned anything. None of them have really started their own thing, except for the one daughter. And like I just, even Ransom, you can see,
right.
This is one of the details that I remember someone mentioned to me, and I noticed it while I was watching it, was the fact that you can see the type of person he is, that he's a rich guy, but he doesn't take care of anything. So he's someone he has nice clothes on, he has a nice car, but you'll notice that they're kind of torn up. They're kind of not taken care of very well because he doesn't appreciate what he has. He just, like his car is dinged up and kind of a beater, even though it's supposed to be a Beamer. It's supposed to be this nice car, but it's kind of not been taken care of because he's rich. He's been given everything and he doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah. He's never had to really work for it. That's a good detail.
Yeah. Like you can see it in his sweater. You can really see it in his sweater. And when they're sitting at the restaurant, like you'll notice like the collar is kind of like torn up in certain parts. So it's like, he's got this nice cashmere, like really high quality sweater on, but it's like all beaten up because he doesn't take care of his stuff.
Yeah.
And and you pointed out, because you sent me a picture for reference about like the details in this movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And
they're everywhere.
They are. They're not really hiding anything. I don't know. We could go on forever, I think, about this movie.
That's Knives Out. Definitely check it out. If you love mystery movies, it's got to be.
I'm going to spare you this week, and I'll give it the must-see sticker.
Okay, there you go. must see. There we go. We got Mark's first. That's your first one, I think.
That's my first one, yes. Nice. I want to save it for something that, and this I think is one of those few movies where it's just so enjoyable of a movie, because you don't get that a lot of times in an original film these days, where it's literally like, it's just kind of, it's not mindless.
Right.
It's mindful, but also very enjoyable.
Yeah. Hugely entertaining, while also smart. And it's, you don't get that combination very often.
No.
So it's really refreshing when you do. Yeah, I gave it a straight up A. I give it like a 95%. Very highly rewatchable. You can sit down, watch it many times, and
I agree on all those numbers and everything.
Nice.
So
all right.
That is Knives Out. Check it out if you haven't already, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Unfortunately, it's not on one of the 17 streaming services, so you either have to rent
it,
like Mark, or go out and buy it. So,
I say it's worth buying it. I'm probably going to buy it on Vudu in a couple weeks here. Or this is something I noticed tonight when I was at the store, is like there's DVDs for everything, and they're really cheap right now. And they're going to be that way for Christmas, for Black Friday. But almost all of them come with the digital copy now too. Almost everything, like all the Christmas specials that they have, the new packaging, they all come with a digital copy. Every single movie I was looking at today came with a digital copy, even like the cheap $5 ones. So I'm like, I'm looking at it being like, I might wait to find this, hopefully for a cheap Black Friday sale, and get myself a copy of it so that I can get that digital copy as well, but also have a physical Blu-ray, because I still like owning movies.
I do too. I still love my physical collection. You said it was $5 to rent on rent. I remember back.
I think it was $3.99, so it came out to like $4.24 after tax or something like that.
I remember back in the day, it was 99 cents to rent a movie. Oh, those are the days.
You know what? I remember that, but that was Redbox days. Mm-hmm. And then I remember Blockbuster beforehand, which was like ungodly expensive for VHS rentals.
Okay. See, I was kind of, I was like 15 in 2008. So like I was kind of coming to age whenever Blockbuster was starting to go bankrupt. So I remember going there a little bit as a kid. I remember renting The Lost World, Jurassic Park, the second Jurassic Park movie. I remember renting The Prestige, but I was probably owning a Blockbuster 3 or 4 times my entire life. And my dad paid for it because I was so young. My dad paid for this stuff. So I didn't really look at how expensive things actually were.
If it was like a new movie that had just come out, you'd be paying like $7-8 to rent it. And the new movies were your shortest rental period. You only got them for like, I think 2 days is what it was. You had to return it, but it was 2 days in like a stupid way. You had to return it by noon on the second day, so if you had gotten at the wrong time, you only really got it for like a day. And then there was, like older movies, stuff that came out like 10 years ago or whatever. I think you usually got like 5 or 7 day rentals on those, but they were still going to cost you like $4 or $5.
Right.
To rent those. Yeah. And they eventually ended up going down and getting cheaper towards the end there because of the fact that they were trying to compete with these other services that had come out between Netflix and Redbox and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember when Redbox came out and I was all about Redbox, and I remember a lot of people thinking it was weird. They do still exist. They've gotten a little bit more expensive now.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have a streaming service that's connected with them now as well. So like, but I haven't used them in years because I haven't needed to.
Yeah.
Like the price difference is no longer like worth it. And that was the key thing for them, is the fact that you could go there and get a movie for $1 a day.
Blu-rays are, I think, $2 a day, but
yeah. And now it's more expensive than that, and that it's not worth it to run out in the cold or whatever weather or random time at night or even looking out to see if they have it. Are they going to have the movie I'm looking for, when I could just be like, Vudu, click, rent, or Prime Video if Vudu doesn't have it. There's so many other places where you can just rent things now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me I wouldn't be surprised if they went completely away within the next 5 years. But yeah. So that's Knives Out.
And next up,
moving on to our TV show, which we didn't do a Halloween episode this year. But Fringe kind of covers that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I was wondering.
I watched these first 2 episodes, man.
Do you know what you're in
I'm
for?
sitting here being like, what am I watching here? Holy crap, it's dark. I'm by myself. I have a kid right here who hopefully doesn't see what I have on my phone here. Cause that's how I was watching it.
Okay.
And it's it was like this weird body horror stuff that they did in the first 2 episodes. I don't know if it continues like that for the whole season.
It continues for a while. First couple seasons, pretty much every intro has one of these. They refer to it as the pattern. One of these things that goes terribly wrong, a biological thing that goes wrong, and you have some gruesome death. Yeah, my former coworker, Kara Hartman, Julie Palmer knows her. She worked at Sight and Sound with me. Okay. She recommended the show to me like a year or so ago. And the one disclaimer she told me, she's like, do not watch this show while eating something. Okay. At least not in the very beginning. Wait till at least halfway through the episode before trying to eat something. And I was like, that was pretty sound advice looking back.
Yeah. Sound advice that you didn't pass on.
Yeah, I probably should have dropped the ball on that one, didn't I? Yeah, I probably should have warned a little bit about that.
Because my brother and dad told me about the show years ago when it was first airing. It was kind of one of those things where it ended up being their show because I was older and like my brother was still home regularly, so he was able to watch it when it was coming out. But I think I'd moved out on my own What year is this show again?
2008, I think 2012 or 13. But it started.
Yeah. Okay. So I had. Oh wow. Okay. So no, my brother had moved down here with me at that point. Jeez, I thought it was older than that. But they both got really into it and kept talking about it, and I was just busy with. I was working a job where I traveled all the time, and if I wasn't traveling, then I had moved on to my first school experience, which was a ministry school. I went there for 2 years, and that was before I went to Messiah. So I was busy with school and other stuff. So yeah, I didn't really ever get into this show back then, but they were always recommending it to me and telling me to watch it, and I just never had time. And it was more difficult back then because you didn't have streaming and things like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, so they told me it was more of a sci-fi show, but I never had time for that.
Yeah, it's J.J. Abrams. So if you know anything about his work, he produced Lost, and he worked on Star Trek. So it's J.J. Abrams, and it's very evident.
Yeah, the three guys who are the creators are J.J. Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, and Robert Orci. And Robert Orci is responsible for the 3 Star Trek movies that came out on the big screen recently. And Alex Kurtzman is currently running like the TV end of Star Trek.
Okay.
So, and J.J. Abrams directed the Star Trek movies that came out.
Into Darkness.
So for me, it's about a lot of Star Trek connections there. So so I was looking forward to watching this show, especially with Joshua Jackson from Mighty Ducks being in this movie or show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately, the gruesome openings do not get better. In fact, they get worse. Then they don't really stop until like season 3. Season 3, they pretty much stop. But that's just the nature of the show in the beginning. The intro,
and that makes sense from what I understand how the show progresses. So, because I know a little bit about the show.
Okay,
from what I understand, we're going to be dealing with. We are a spoiler zone here.
Spoiler zone. Yeah, we'll do a spoiler for this one.
From what I understand, we are going to be dealing with some type of parallel universe thing or something like that at some point. Yep. So it seems to me like that's the part where my brother and dad were really pushing it, being like, no, it's really good. You got to watch this. And I just never had the time, never made the time. And now I'm making the time. So, hey, if you guys want to watch it again, you can leech off my HBO Max because they do, and watch it with me.
But what was I going to say? Yeah, it's TV-14, but it definitely pushes the boundaries of that many times.
Definitely pushes that boundary because I'm generally okay with I don't want my kids to see the show, so I'm going to be more careful watching the episodes from now on because I don't want them to see anything that I'm. Like some of the scary elements, at least at the beginning of the show.
Yes. The first 5-10 minutes are definitely always the worst of the episode. After that, it's not too bad, but
yeah. So I'm gonna have to be a little more careful, a little more like, okay, make sure I do this at night. With being 2 episodes, it's like, okay, when do I do this? But yeah, I'll make sure I make the time and stay caught up on it. But it's.
But yeah, other than that, what did you think of the episodes? There was the pilot opposite, and the second one's called The Same Old Story.
It's nice because they're clearly at that time. This is 2008, so it's like they're one of the first shows probably that starts building more of a serial story rather than episodic. So they got a whole bunch of stuff in the pilot that like you're sitting there being like, this is so much information. I don't even know what to do with it all. So I'm going to have to dissect it. And parts of it are clearly going into the next episode. And like, I think at the beginning of that first the second episode, I was sitting here being like, wait, okay, so this person's connected to that person, and they're on like a secret society thing where they're calling in these people, but they all work together. But yeah, so it's a little confusing to see what's connected to what, but it's also very exciting to see how it's going to.
And it does definitely connect together bit by bit. They start interweaving storylines and things start making more sense. And the series also just has a lot of great world building. And it's just, it's really fascinating to see it come together. And that's something that when I was watching it, Kara, told me, she's like, you'll just wait and you'll see how it all bit by bit it comes together. And and John Noble's character, who plays, Walt Bishop, seeing him before this, the only thing I had seen him in was Lord of the Rings as Denethor. So I always saw him as Denethor. But now watching this series, and I'm still I'm towards the end of season 3, but now I see him as Walt. He's Walt now, like his transformation, and you'll see it. But it's just, he is a fantastic actor.
Yeah, it's got it has a strong cast. I've seen a lot of these people in other things. Mm-hmm. Lance Reddick, I think he was in. I'm watching him right now. That's what he's in John Wick.
Oh, okay. I think I honestly forgot that.
But I think he was in The Wire as well. Or maybe I'm thinking of Bosch. I'm trying to think. I'm looking back on his list of stuff. Oh my gosh, he's been in so many things. So he's one of these guys who's just he's the thin black guy who is the girl's like boss. So he's just been in so many things.
Yeah.
So was he in that? Oh, he was in Lost as well. Jeez. So I'm probably just mixing up where I actually saw him. Nope, he is in The Wire. I was right. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the lieutenant in The Wire. Yeah, playing a similar kind of role there. So, yeah, he's a good actor too. I like him. He plays the concierge kind of person at the hotel in John Wick, if you're familiar with those movies.
Okay. Yes. It's been a little bit since I've seen them. I mean, I like them, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this show is, besides the body horror elements, it's got this whole mystery thing going on. And I don't know. I'm interested to see where it's going. I feel like I've been tricked into seeing a horror movie. And I'm not a horror fan at all. But
like I said, it starts out that way. It is still difficult to get past that initially, but
it's literally the exact type of horror that I don't like to see, though. That's the thing. It's like it's this body like mutilation stuff that they're doing, and I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it'll be good to see what they do. I'm interested to know like what all these experiments from the 70s were that Walt was working on. You know what I mean? Like what the heck was he doing back then that he seems to be self-committed in the insane asylum. It's not like they put him there. He went there because of on his own accord. And so I'm just wondering, there's also the whole estrangement thing between him and his son that is
right.
I'm curious to see what that goes, especially there was something that was said. I can't remember what it was, because in the second episode, the guy, there's a person who's a murderer, but they seem to have to like murder 5 people every so often. So, and his father was a colleague of Walt's, and they say this line that makes you wonder about, because his son was just an experiment. He wasn't actually like his son, but it makes you wonder. They made a line about Peter Bishop that made you wonder, wait, is he an experiment as well? is he actually his son? Or it was just like, I can't remember the exact line, but that doctor said something that goes, wait. So I'm wondering to see what develops here.
Yeah.
With Peter as a character.
It gets very interesting.
And you've seen the first 2-3 seasons?
I've seen the first 2 full seasons, and then like I said, I think I'm 3 or 4 episodes away from season 4. So, and there's 5 seasons.
So are you slowing down on watching it now that we're doing this together, or what are you doing? Did you rewatch the first 2?
What I'm trying to do is watch 2 episodes myself of me going forward, and then like reading recaps / watching just trailer recaps of the episodes that we're actually reviewing. Okay. So, because I do want to, because I started this series like last year, and I've been slow because of getting married, planning stuff, switching jobs and stuff like that. So I've been kind of very slowly going through it, but I do want to.
I remember I gave you a little bit of a hard time because you said something about you've been borrowing these DVDs from your coworker for over a year, and I was like, DVDs? This is on HBO Max. Why are you borrowing DVDs?
I honestly, did not even know it was on HBO until Laura literally told me 2 weeks ago. She's like, this is on HBO. I'm like, oh. Yeah, I've been putting in DVDs for every single episode, every single season. So I don't need to do that anymore. So I can probably give those back now. But that was my incentive to keep moving through the series, because these aren't my my DVDs. These were Kara's. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you were borrowing for over a year, so I know wasn't really working.
I don't like right. I don't. That's why I don't like doing that. I like to get things back to people as soon as possible. So that's why I'm like, okay, I gotta move through this. But
so that is Fringe.
If you're into a sci-fi, if you've seen shows like Lost, or you're into that kind of type of show, you'll probably enjoy this. Like I said, there is body horror though, so be on alert for that. But
other than that, it's pretty good. So, I guess that's our show for the week.
Yeah.
We want to encourage you to remember to like, share, and subscribe our show, and tell us what you think. We love hearing from you guys. Comments or critiques, or hey, you're just completely wrong about this, Mark. No. We love to hear those interactions. What was it? I know my hot take on what's it called? Not on Scorsese, but on Avatar.
Oh yes,
got us a video with only a third. We got 2 dislikes and 1 like, so our ratio on that is bad.
No, not great.
Not great, but of course it's only 3 people who've interacted with the video.
Right.
But
still, but we got a couple comments on it too. So I mean,
we did.
People were talking about it. So
So, make sure you keep up with us and let us know what you think we can do different. Oh, we are talking about doing a live show. But when are you going down? Would you even be available for that live show?
What do you mean going down?
You're going down to your families. It's the week of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
We were talking about doing the 21st, I think it was.
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on that. We'll be leaving, I believe it's Monday. Let's see here. I think it's Monday the 14th I'm leaving.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wait, sorry. What? Oh, sorry. The 19th. Saturday 19th I'm leaving. Then I'll be back, I believe, December 2 or 3. December 3. Basically, November 19th, December 3. So about 2 weeks I'll be gone.
Okay.
So I'll get back to you.
Would it even be possible to do a live broadcast for our 75th? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think that's our 75th anymore. I think our 75th has been bumped down to the 28th because of our, let's see, 71, 72, 73, 74. Actually, it's more like the 5th of December now.
Okay. So then it should actually be good then.
Yeah. Okay. It'll work out. We'll get it all done. What am I thinking? But yeah, okay. So the idea was that for the live show, we wanted you guys to send us article ideas or questions or anything like that. So we're giving you about a month advance notice at this point for the live show. We were probably going to do around December 5th-ish. We'll have to see because that is Christmas time, and Christmas is always bizarre and weird. But we'll have to see what we can do with the live show. I really do want to do it for the 75th episode. And we want to hear from you. We want to talk about the topics you want to talk about. And we're probably just going to get on and just go for as long as we can go talking about these different topics. Maybe not even covering a specific movie or TV show or anything. Just talk about film and what's going on in that area. So, let us know your thoughts. And thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay cool.
Stay cool.